Okay, welcome back. This is session 6. I am recording on May 29th, 2023. So a couple things to get out of the way before we start today. Hopefully when I release this session, it won't have been that long since I released session 5. However, it has been quite a while since I have played. It's been around Christmas time 2022 was the last time I played, because around Christmas time 2022 I got hopelessly addicted to Phasmophobia, and I just couldn't break myself away from it. And to be honest, I still like to play that game a lot. But I'm at a point where I don't need to play as much as I used to. So while it should only be a week or two since the last episode is released, it's been a lot longer since I've actually played, which means I did rewatch a lot of the stuff that I put out already, just to kind of make sure that I don't repeat things, but I may end up repeating some things or forgetting where I have to go or something like that. So just if that happens, just want to let you know that that is why. So now let's take a look at this. Last session we went to Black Meadow, and that's why we're here right now, to talk with Tuatanu, the blacksmith at the, I forget what the name of this place is, the smithery, because we found in the Black Meadow, we found the caravan full of weapons that hadn't been delivered yet to Tuatanu, and we were able to find at least the supplies. The people that were in the caravan were killed by bandits, but we did find the supplies and returned them to Tuatanu here. We went to the Estern Wood. We really found some like undead there, vessels as they're called in this game, skeletons to be more precise, and we also started traveling with Durance a couple sessions ago, so we have a 4-person party right now. I think, actually, let's open up our journal to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so our quest right now, we have the Old Watcher. That is the spirit of Caldara de Baranci, one of Lord Radric's unfortunate victims, has directed me towards Caed. So this is the quest to find my land, or whatever you want to call it, my home, my fortress, stronghold. I think that's the word, stronghold. There we go. And then we have Lord of a Barren Land. This is Lord Radric, who rules with kind of an iron fist over Gilded Vale and I think other places here. And basically he has just declared anybody who has a Hollowborn child or may thought to be making it worse has just been killed, and we see the tree outside where there are a bunch of people that are just hanging because Radric thinks they committed some kind of crime. His wife herself, in the second or third session, we heard the bells, which means that his wife had a Hollowborn baby, and he is just not a nice guy. So we have a quest here from Kolsch, who wants us to get rid of him. We have the Trials of Durance, who is one of our companions. So this is just a companion quest here. Fragments of Scattered Faith. This is another companion quest for Adair. And Buried Secrets. Lord Radric has decided to rededicate Gilded Vale's abandoned Aethasian temple to a new deity. The entrance to the temple has been cleared, allowing entry for the first time in many years. And I think that's as good a place as any to start here. We haven't yet gone into the depths of the Aethasian temple. I don't think, if we look at the map here, if we look at the global map here, I don't think there's anywhere we can go to pick up a new companion just yet. So maybe first let's go to Caed, because I think somebody is there. I don't think there's anybody at Radric's Hold, but at least that'll give us a 5th party member if we go to Caed first. So that'll be our first. Actually, let's rest at the inn before we do that.
Welcome.
We have a good amount of money. Resolver, let's do perception mechanics. Okay, so now let's head to Caed. Oh, I guess I can't do it from here. I actually have to go to an exit. Okay, before we go any further here, I just want to say that watching the previous sessions, I noticed that I was just kind of sniffling a lot. I'm guessing it was more of a nervous tic than anything else. Maybe I had a cold or something like that, but I'm going to try to do that less often here. Same thing with clearing my throat, which I know is a nervous tic. Here's Kana. Just off the side of the path into Caed stands an imposing figure, a tall, thick-set Almawa, clad in worn armor and peering up at the outer walls of the keep. In his hand is a small piece of charcoal, and it works feverishly at taking notes upon a small scrap of paper. More than once he has to reach up to prevent his colorful cap from falling off his head as he gazes upwards. What are you doing over there? The man looks over at you, blinking in surprise. His face splits in a wide and very toothy grin, and he waves the parchment in greeting. Killing time, if I'm honest. I've already walked the perimeter twice, says Kana. There are names scratched upon some of the bricks, just there, workers and masons, I expect, carving a little immortality for themselves. He looks up at the wall again, expression fond. It's a fine keep, Caed, 2 centuries to its name, and abandoned for nearly as long.
But the truly interesting part is in there, and I haven't had much luck in reaching the keep itself. I hoped to find the master of this place, a man by the name of Merewald, but it seems that he either holds his privacy most dear, or else has been devoured by his house guests.
I came here looking for Merewald as well.
Oh, truly? Then perhaps we can help one another. The grounds are infested with all manner of beasts. I've never seen the like. I didn't want to risk it alone, but you seem capable. Together, I'm sure we could manage it. And then we can both ask our questions of Merewald. I seek a great treasure, you see. Not gold or silver, but the Tanvi Oratoa. You might call it the Book of Virtues. It's a sacred text of the Rauatai, but we possess only a fragment of it. A year I've journeyed in search of the rest, and I uncovered evidence that leads me to believe the original lies just there, beneath the keep.
Why would this Tanvi Oratora be here in the Deerwood? Precisely, says Kana. That is the very question. He laughs. It is a long and twisting tale, my friend, as all good chance should be. I can tell you more if you wish it, in time. Then we must find it.
Excellent. Lead on, my friend, and I will be at your heels. Ah, wait. Speaking of that, I ought to warn you first. Wondrous teeth, I nearly forgot. I have, at times, been followed. It began in Adir, and in Exomitl they attacked outright. I believe they do not wish for me to find what I am looking for. I say believe, but I have been told as much by one of my would-be assassins. I pay them little mind. Humorless sorts in long robes. But it's why I bought the sword, you see. And it's only fair that you should know.
You seem very calm about this.
Well, it's not as if I'm going to turn around and go home at their urging. If their previous efforts are anything to go by, we have very little to worry about.
Okay, we have our 5th companion, Kana. I'm going to move him up. I think he's pretty strong. Let's take a look at him. Kana is a 4th level chanter. Chanter is very much like a bard in D&D, except I believe the difference is they chant while they fight. So whereas a bard, at least in 2nd edition D&D, from like Baldur's Gate and everything, I don't know if it's changed since then, a bard, if he's singing or she's singing, they can't actually attack, they can't take part in the fighting. Whereas here, a chanter can both chant and fight at the same time. So it's more like providing these passive buffs that you choose. And we'll take a look at some of those. I think the chanters are actually kind of a cool class. So he is an Island Almawa. We have read a little bit about the Island Almawa in the past. His background is Rawatai, and he is a scholar. He is strong and intelligent. Not very dexterous, though. These are his active effects. You can have a weapon set. His abilities are brisk recitation. The chanter is able to recite phrases more quickly, allowing them to use invocations earlier in combat while increasing the overlap between their phrases. So that takes less time for those buffs to be active. The March of the Kamoa is at the sight of their comrades, their hearts grew bold. Blessed was Wengrith, quickest of his tribe. So, that was a modal attack, a modal ability. I'm going to go back, look at that again. The modal abilities are things that you have active, and you can only have one modal ability active at a time. So I'll make sure that that one is, because I think that's the first one. Yeah, because he's got Second Wind, which a lot of people seem to have, and then Arm to the Teeth is the thing that gives him an extra weapon set. And these are his chanter spells here. So in this game, which I think is really cool, the chants are said in phrases. And this one requires 3 phrases chanted, and then this will activate. And Helhirif crashed upon the shield. So the chants themselves are named after what they would be saying during the actual chanting. So you're basically like creating poetry almost as you choose the chants that they chant while they battle. Okay. Same thing here. 3 phrases chanted. And, I looked at the wrong thing. The thunder rolled like black seas. Yeah. 3 phrases chanted. This is passive. Grants ancient memory. Plus 3.2 endurance to allied people. And field triage is once per rest spell that I can cast to increase health. Okay. So let's take a look here.
Following your lead.
At his chants. So you see here that you choose that you can make chants A, B, C, D. Right now I chant at the sight of their comrades, their hearts grew bold. And that emboldens allies in the area of effect. Blessed was Wengrid, quickest of his tribe. And then, can I add this one here? Oops. Yeah, so I have all 3. I will chant all 3 of those things. And I think when all 3 are actually active, then some other buffs will also prepare themselves. So right here, I embolden allies. I increase movement rate and reflex. And drain a portion of endurance from all enemies in the area of effect. Okay. And he has... he's got an Arquebus and a fine Estoc. So I think I'll keep him back. So maybe I'll move him a little bit back then.
Following your lead.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with this. Okay.
All right, then.
Let's head on in here.
Once more through the gates. With more success this time, I hope.
This is a shadow. I don't believe we've read shadows yet, so let's do that. So, from the guidebook, shadows are created when creatures with heavily fractured souls die without re-entering the cycle of rebirth. Because these souls are damaged, they drain essence from other creatures in a futile attempt to repair themselves. The more essence they steal, the more powerful and dangerous they become. As they suck up essence, they pick up bits of corporeal matter, giving them a visible if distinct form. Luckily, shadows can only draw a small bit of spiritual enemy from souls still attached to a body or bound to an object. They mainly rely on creatures like the Pugra, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, it's Pwgra, which I'm sure we'll read at some point. They mainly rely on creatures like the Pugra, who can draw souls from their physical form to help them obtain the essence they crave. Shadows have been known to draw spiritual energy from people while they sleep, when their souls are not bound as strongly as their bodies. This usually results in horrible nightmares that leave a person in an exhausted state the next day. If an entire town shares nightmares, it's highly probable that a strong shadow has taken up residence there. Since shadows absorb spiritual energy, they are difficult to detect for creatures who rely on a spiritual sight. This has led to experiments in binding shadows to armor or other objects to act as a cloak to obscure those who do not wish to be seen by such creatures. So these are creatures who kind of drain essence from other people, kind of uselessly, but obviously that still hurts other people while they're doing that. So let's fight our shadow here. It is a spirit. I don't know if we can knock him down, but we are going to try. Multiple shadows and a will-o-wisp, which we have read a couple episodes ago, a couple sessions ago. Let's just keep going here. Doesn't seem like these guys are too difficult. Should I do that? Should I do... Oh, Bjartar is confused. Okay.
All right, then.
Frayed lengths of rope and a few flint chips are scattered across this workbench. The hedges grow in shaggy heaps, shot through with weeds and tall grasses. Will-o-wisp.
Leave it to me!
What's this? Dazed. Attack speed down, intellect down. Okay. Oh, here's the chance here. You can see the number of phrases. So once that gets up to 3 phrases, then those passive effects also go into effect.
Of course.
Caster becomes able to see an enemy's weaknesses and vulnerabilities as though they're increasing the chance of landing a critical hit. Wait, sorry.
Brave thou Philogeles.
And they really like confusing Bjartar.
All right, then.
Brave thou Philogeles.
That's right, I wanted to make sure his modal was active. Okay, so yeah, it's active. Lizard skins, knuckle bones, and teeth of various sizes lie among the weeds. It's a phantom. I don't think we've read that one yet. Okay, from the guidebook. Phantoms are souls that did not properly separate from the body after death. This usually happens as a result of severe trauma, particularly in the case of a violent death. Unlike lost souls, which are incapable of interacting with or being detected by normal mortals, phantoms, like shadows in Chinguila, another word I don't know how to pronounce, maintains a connection to the physical world. They will attack other life forms without discrimination. Phantoms can also come from people who lived particularly chaotic lives, including violent criminals and the insane. Anyone can become a phantom under the right circumstances. The fear of phantoms and their association with the mentally ill results in shunning across many communities. The fear of phantoms? This is... I need to reread this here. Phantoms can also come from people who lived particularly chaotic lives, including violent criminals and the insane. Anyone can become a phantom under the right circumstances. The fear of phantoms and their association with the mentally ill results in shunning across many communities. Okay, so there's souls that did not properly separate from the body after death. Okay, so because of severe drama or a particularly chaotic life... Okay, I see what everything's saying here. I'm sorry it took me a little while to get this. I was reading this at the end that that phantoms were shunned, but what it means is that the mentally ill are shunned because they are more likely to become phantoms upon death. So because of that, and because people are afraid of the phantoms, they just don't even want to associate with anybody that might be mentally ill, which, I mean, to be honest, probably just exacerbates the illness, the mental illness. Okay, so this is another spirit. Let's go with the shadow first. Bjartar's probably going to get confused again. Let's do it. Okay. Bjartar's getting hurt here. Okay. Spirit residue. Faint ethereal wisps of soul energy made manifest. Okay, so it looks like you got cured a little bit here.
All right, then.
Oop, missed this. One side of this pillar is graven with hundreds of whorls and ridges. Even under a layer of grime and moss, the Adra gleams. Looks kind of like a hand. I wonder what that could be. Small flame blight. Here we go. So this is another spirit type enemy, which there seems to be a number of spirit enemies here. This is from a blight. It's just a single entry for blight. This is specifically a flame blight, fire blight, flame blight. It says these amorphous clouds rapidly swirl with violent energy. Within the maelstrom, dozens of humanoid shapes materialize and vanish within an instant. Faces scream in silent agony, while hands desperately clutch and claw at the air around the mass. Beowicks, spirit winds, which we've talked about before, often create blights. If souls are ripped free of bodies and caught in the center of a storm, they may become stuck together and bonded with any other elemental substances in the maelstrom. They are pure chaos and confusion, and destroying them is a mercy to the souls trapped within. Experimenting with blight creations is yet another questionable activity that has earned animancers a bad reputation in many circles. Some see it as dangerous and inhumane, others as a means to an end. Some also fear that unethical animancers create blights, never mind how difficult this would be. So again, a reason that animancers are often shunned in this world. So blights seem to be some kind of fused elemental energy with souls that have been ripped from their bodies, often because of a Beowix, a spirit wind. All right, let's take them out. Got two of them. It's immune to something, but whatever it is, they're pretty weak. Primal Flame. This bright little flame leaps and sparks with magical energy. Will-o-wisp.
Leave our village! We've done nothing to you! You can't do this!
Villager, spectral smoke churns all around you. At first, you can see nothing except the haze, but gradually, you make out the wizened, hunched shape of an old elven man. His face and bone-thin arms are smeared with paint. You can't do this! He shakes his head, spitting the words at you. Just going to listen to him.
This is our village, our home! The Nine Claws have lived here almost 50 generations. We were here long before your kind brought war to our lands. You can't just burn it all!
It says in some of the flavor text, you can't tell whether he's squinting through the smoke or scowling at you.
Have mercy, soldier! Our warriors have all gone! You can't burn us all because of them!
After a pause, he draws back and gapes at you in horror, seemingly in response to something you didn't actually say, but illusory tongues of flame flicker at the corners of your vision. So it's like this is a vision of the past almost, so he's not actually speaking to us. He reaches out to you and opens his mouth to say something, but all that emerges is a series of violent coughs. He falls to his knees, choking on the thickening smoke. Flames overtake the vision as you back away. So we can go in there. Oh, looks like we left somebody behind. Sorry, Darrens. Well, maybe you can't actually go out this way yet. Yeah, it looks like it's blocked. For now, anyway. I think I'm going to take a quick rest out here, too. We only have one thing of camp supplies. Dear, you wake to the sensation of being shaken. and you open your eyes to see Eder standing over you, his hand jostling your shoulder. He looks concerned. Your eyes are heavy, and your vision blurred, the vague unease of unremembered nightmares clouding your thoughts. You are not sure you slept at all the previous night.
Hey! Hey! You awake? Good. You were kind of thrashing around, eyes rolled back in your head. You were shaking. Trying to snap you out of it for a long time now. Thought I was gonna have to get a bucket of cold water.
So that little image we saw instead of the campfire signifies that we had some kind of dream, watcher dream.
You don't seem like you get much rest at night. You got those dark circles under your eyes.
Not lately. At night there are dreams and whispers.
Well, it's the watcher thing then. I'm sure it just takes some time to adjust is all. I'll try to let it sort itself out. But you'd better wake up faster next time. Trust me, you don't want that bucket of cold water.
After the first thing he said, I'm sure it just takes some time to adjust is all. His smile is not one of a man convinced by his own words, so it seems like Eder is just trying to kind of make us feel a little better, but he's unsure himself. Addendum added the Old Watcher. Cadnua is impressive in size, but little else. The keep is in complete disrepair, but if Old Merwald is still lord of this place, then I am likely to find him within. The camp seems abandoned. There are spirits here, as there were in Gilded Vale. Creatures, too. It seems I will have to explore further if I am to find answers.
Well, that's, unusual.
We have a shadow and a phantom over here.
You're not getting through me.
Ah, this is what I wanted. The Holy Radiance.
You're not getting
A gift if the evasion doesn't hurt.
starting to miss my neighbors. I'm here.
Oh, lost a couple there. Huh, he's fatigued. Endurance is frostbitten. Oh, we have a unique sword here, the Whispers of Yenwood. Its blade covered with graceful Glanfathan engravings, Whispers of Yenwood, was once the sword of the first Road Warden of Cadnua. When the Earl of Yenwood appointed Caed Yodhart, the young lord feared the spirits that were rumored to dwell under the young castle's foundation. He spent a sizable sum to have the black Emiran steel blade forged, shipped to the Eastern Reach for engraving by the Earl's Glenfathan slave artisans, and enchanted in New Dunred. Caed is known to have used the sword in the Battle of Old Girren, and to help the neighboring Radric suppress an uprising in Gilded Vale, but there is no recorded use of it in Cadnua. Over time, Caed began to believe that the sword had been cursed by the Glenfathan artisans who decorated it. He confided in those close to him that he thought the spirits of the dead were speaking to him through the blade while he slept. One evening, against the pleas of his wife and soldiers, a maddened Caed carried the sword deep into the misty woods of Glanfath. His body was never recovered, but the next road warden the Earl assigned to Cadnua found it waiting for him on the throne in the keep's great hall. None of the soldiers could explain how the sword appeared there. No road warden has carried the sword since that day. What does enchant do? Okay, so we can make this sword You can give this sword, so it's already a slaying spirit sword. Already has of Constitution +2, and we could give it some other buffs. Cool. Who should I give this to? I'm going to give it to B. Archer. I want to see... What does he use? He does have a sword, and this is a sword. Is this going to be bad? Let's do a little save here. I wonder if I was just using my dagger before. Well, let's see if this is good for him. Okay.
All right, then.
Steward. As you come to the end of the great hall, you perceive an inviting warmth radiating from a grand throne wrought out of marble, its masterful artistry out of place amidst the castle's more practical stonework. The veiled face of a woman is carved above the throne's backing, watching over the room with hollow eyes. At your approach, you feel the warmth fluctuate, as though stirring. A voice rings out from the carving, permeating the fortress through stone and air.
Another watcher in Caed, glowing very brightly indeed to these eyes. What strange happenstance.
You know what I am?
One could hardly mistake it. You're burning like a candle. Of course, I also know what to look for. In any case, I assume you're here looking for Mayorwald.
Are you imprisoned in that throne?
Imprisoned? At times it feels that way, I suppose. But it's more that I reside here. The throne was brought up from the ruins. One of the first things they found. As a last favor to a dying woman, the Earl arranged for me to be moved into it. Audra is an accommodating vessel for a soul. Oh, it's not as confining as it seems. I can feel the whole keep from here, and all things that are tied to it. There's something about this throne and its construction. Or maybe it's something about this place. He was a great man. He came here one day, young with long hair and polished armor, and he banished the dark things that had come to lurk in this place after centuries of neglect. He could see the beauty of this place, the way it had been, so he claimed it for his own when no one else would take it. We worked together to restore it. But he began to grow distant some time ago. He never told me why. He retreated deeper and deeper into the keep, never leaving, sending servants for food, hiding himself from my sight. The restoration stopped. Now, to look at the place, you'd never know the progress we'd made. In most places, it's worse than it ever was. And all I can do is watch it crumble around me.
Any idea where I can find Mayorwald?
I can feel his presence faintly somewhere deeper inside the keep. But he uses his gifts to confound me, and my senses are dulled while he does so. I only wish I could know his mind. Take care in your search. Many dangers lie in wait here.
So that's what that noise was. The door opened over there. So we learned that Mayorwald was once, had his faculties about him, and he was the ruler of the keep, but now he's not doing so well. And the person we were talking to, or the being that we were just talking to, was some kind of a spirit who resides in the throne there of Caed. Empty chest. The gray and brown pelts of mice flit between the boards. The brazier's chains are rigid with rust.
If thou feel
Parathis!
Spiders have taken up residence in the empty shelves. This map shows the Deerwood's old colonial borders. A settlement called New Dunrid is marked in the place of present-day Defiance Bay. So yeah, New Dunrid was a old name for what is now called Defiance Bay. Maybe I'll read that at some point. It feels as if cobwebs are the only things holding this rickety old mess together. Something has made a nest out of old straw and a mattress ticking. Mattress ticking? Just trying to see if you can camp without camping supplies. This is a mother.
Been out playing soldier again, have we? Go wash up and come help me shuck these peas.
As you draw near, the apparition in front of you resolves into an elven woman. Her stringy hair is tied back, and she tugs at a loose thread on her apron. There's a distant, hollow look in her eyes until she notices you. A frail smile descends like a veil over her face. And then that's what she says. She turns from you long enough to produce a basket that, like her, is shimmering and semi-transparent. And no complaints. You've got to eat your vegetables if you want to grow up to be strong and be a real soldier one day. Just like we agreed, right? She watches you out of the corner of her eye. I'm gonna say nothing here. It's apparent that these spirits are just kind of living out parts of their lives.
Soldiers are important people. They defend the weak and punish the wicked. You're too young to understand now, but there are lots of wicked people. People like the man who murdered your father.
She crushes another husk between finger and thumb. Remind me what happened to, father.
Before you were born, the Glanfathans attacked settlers like us. They said we'd knocked over some of their special Adra rocks. That's why they call it the Broken Stone War. They got very angry, and so they came into our villages and killed many people. Your father was one of them.
So she mentioned the Broken Stone War. I don't think we've read what that was yet. So I might want to do that after we're done talking with her. I've mentioned that there were several conflicts between the Glanfathans and the colonists of Edir, of the Ediran Empire, but I don't know if I've actually gone into any detail about them. So for this person, their father, so this seems to be a group of Ediran settlers, and the Glanfathans attacked. That was when a farmer, I believe, was just kind of clearing a field, and they knocked over an Adra pillar, not understanding what it was, and that angered the Glanfathans. And this person's father was killed. He was one of the people The Glenfathans killed? That's what I said. Her voice is low and hoarse, and her hand is frozen over the basket. Something dark and empty clouds over her eyes. She dropped...
That's why you'll be a soldier one day. To protect and to avenge. Why don't you go back out and play? I'll finish up here.
So a little playing with expectations here. Usually in these kinds of games, little boys want to grow up to be soldiers and their mothers are afraid of that. But here, it seems like growing up to be a soldier is the mother's wish. Don't really know what the child feels at this point since she's just kind of playing out these memories. But we see here that the mother wants the son to take revenge on what happened to her and her husband. Okay. Let's see what's down here. Ivory spiderling. A new one. So it doesn't look like there is an entry in the guidebook for ivory spiders. I don't know if it was maybe added to the second game. This might have been DLC, this spot down here. I don't think so though, so I don't know why it wouldn't be there. But otherwise, we can't really say much about them. Maybe there will be a bestiary entry for them when we defeat this one. Spear spider. So there's a couple ivory spiderlings. Some of them are spear spiders, which we have read before.
You're not getting through me. Leave it to me. Leave it to me.
An ivory spinner.
Most inconvenient.
Swollen eye.
All right. Right then.
These keep getting surprised by a lot more monsters than I thought are there.
Let's burn!
Not to. I'm here.
I didn't even realize that Bjorter wasn't fighting there. Alright, let's see.
New orders, Lieutenant. Ready your squad.
Alright, let's see if I can find something for ivory spinners. Nope, still nothing there. So here we have a commander. Let's see what happened to him. A spectral man arrayed in armor and an officer's cloak studies a single sheet of paper. You can see straight through it to the ducal and Idris insignias on his breastplate. He seems to read over the page several times before looking up at you. When he does, his expression is unreadable.
There's been a change of plans. Take your squad and march south all the way to the bow in the river. Bring a wagon team and a dozen barrels of pitch.
His voice falters and he shakes his head. The hand holding the paper drops to his side. Just gonna listen?
The instructions come from Admeth Hadred himself, which means they might as well have come from the Duke. We're to burn those hut dwellers out. Set fire to the deerwood so they've nowhere to retreat. Cut them down when they come out. Or let them blaze if they won't.
A ghostly sigh forms a mist in front of his lips. So this comes from, I believe it's still the Broken Stone War that they're talking about here. The Hut Dwellers is a derogatory term for the Glanfathans, and it seems like this commander here kind of regrets the order that he's given to burn all the Hut Dwellers out. So, and it seems like he still did it, but he had a bad taste in his mouth because of it.
It'll make this even shorter than the Broken Stone War, all right. And we can only hope it'll discourage future conflicts.
That's right, this wasn't the Broken Stone War. This was the war after that, which I'm drawing a blank on what it's called now. We really should start to go over these conflicts at some point. I think I was going to wait for Defiance Bay because there's probably some in-universe books for them. But maybe I can at least go into some basics about what each of these conflicts was about. So this is the one after the Broken Stone War, not the Broken Stone War itself.
I know this is personal for you. It is for many of us. But understand, we're doing this to end this war, not to continue the last one. Remember that we're flushing out the enemy, not burning villages for sport. Bareth will have his work cut out for him tonight.
They refer to Bareth as a he. Bareth is one of the gods. We'll go over them later. It's like some kind of a dungeon down here. Dungeon in the actual sense where there are prisoners there, not a dungeon in the Dungeons and Dragons term where it's just an underground cave system or something. Or anything that requires any kind of fighting or anything like that. So you just got a quest update for the Old Watcher. Inside the keep I found a spirit entombed within the throne that sits in the great hall. She has opened the way down to the depths of the keep in the hopes that I might find Merwald somewhere below. A pickable lock over here. It looks like I can do it.
We'll take those farmers by surprise.
A raider?
Almost time. Di and Heather scouted the village last night. They're rounding up the rest of the party now.
An elven man turns to face you. His cheeks, his forearms, and the cartilage of his long, pointed ears are smeared with indigo and blue paints. He grins wickedly beneath a thatch of wild hair. Say nothing?
Don't worry. Everyone remembers the raid was your idea. The Rio had to go along with it after you'd gotten the rest of the clan riled up. No one wants it said that the Nine Claws were too cowardly to stand with the rest of the tribe when the foreigners desecrated our ruins.
So what's the Rio? The ragged stripes of paint on his face twist as he laughs. You may not like them, but they're still our elders, for now. A dead gray tooth peers from between his lips. That was clever, drawing the support of the community first. By the time you approached the Rio, they had no choice but to support us. I want to scroll back a little bit here. This seems like it's coming from a Glenfathan here. Everyone remembers the raid was your idea. The Rio had to go along with it after you'd gotten the rest of the clan riled up. No one wants it said that the Nine Claws were too cowardly to stand in the rest of the tribe when the foreigners desiccated our ruins. So I'm guessing here that the Nine Claws are some kind of tribe of Glenfathans. And whatever this person did kind of forced the elders of this tribe to raid. Maybe it was here. Maybe they raided Caed after the Broken Stone War. There's no doubt you'll join their ranks one day, so long as no farmer's pitchfork fells you tonight, he laughs.
The tribes need more leaders like you. Women who value deeds over words.
The ghostly warrior gives you a long, covetous look. His semi-transparent eyes blaze as they crawl over you. He reaches towards your cheek, but stops midway, his splayed fingers quivering as a tremor of doubt runs through him.
You were right. We were too soft when the foreigners first came, and now they humiliate us. We'll be soft no more, and the invaders will learn to leave us alone once and for all.
So yeah, this is definitely a Glanfathan tribesman, part of the Nine Claws tribe then, talking with somebody, a woman who kind of forced the elders' hands to attack the Adiran settlers at some point. So it seems like they had their hands forced here, like they tried to welcome the settlers, but the settlers, obviously, the Adiran settlers, just kind of took without really caring what they were taking. And then when the Glanfathans tried to stop them, they considered that an act of hostility. This is very much like British imperialists when they came to the Americas and basically just kind of looked around and said, this is ours now. And even today, our histories paint the natives of the land as like bloodthirsty, including an S word that I believe is considered a slur that I don't really want to say, but yeah, they even today we still talk about them as if they're enemies, as if they're these people that just kind of had it coming to them, when really they were just defending their lands, and that's what these Glanfathans are too. Now let's look for a key first. There's a lot of other spaces down here to go. Uh-oh. What was that? Is it this one? Someone had a spell that like jumped from a bunch of times. Maybe it was yeah.
That's it. You're not.
Durance is running around back there. Let's see if I can cast some spells.
Getting through me.
Beyond seek.
How do I cancel? I don't know if that worked. Maybe it did.
Starting to miss my neighbors.
Ring of Overseeing. Ability area of effect. Okay. Actually, I'm going to give that one to Durance. This is Adra. An organic material, crystalline in structure but shell-like in substance, Adra can be found growing up through the grounds and veins in many parts of Eora. Easy to carve and manipulate, it is a favorite of jewelers as a semi-precious stone and is often cut more intricately and beautifully than other gems. Adra is very important. I don't know if I've spoken about them before, though. Cobblestones and bricks are bound to the rusted old cart by thick spider webs. Wonder where the spiders come from. Zorips. Deer is not looking good, and we haven't got any camping supplies. There's a heavy iron key. Has an Adiran stamp upon its handle.
Of course.
Copper skates. pretty good haul right there. A shimmering wall of energy extends across this doorway like a curtain. It repels forward movement with an unnatural force.
Leave it to me!
This is the one. Mind Blades.
The bottom beyond seek.
That's right. I forgot that I wanted to look through the bestiary here to see if the ivory spinners were put in here. Yeah. I think everything I'm reading is actually a part of the bestiaries that we actually have in here. And geez. So rather than cutting here, I can just go to this bestiary and read what's already in the guidebook. Alright, so the ivory spiderlings. Enormous and hostile spiders come in terrifying array of shapes, colors, and sizes throughout the eastern reach. Much more aggressive than their tiny kin, these giants actively seek out human and animal prey. Even the weakest of them, the spear spider, can easily kill a grown kith if the victim is unprepared. Though the spear spider lacks a poisonous bite, its piercing legs, from which its name is derived, can inflict terrible wounds even through the armor. More deadly than spear spiders are ivory spinners and widowmakers, with both species possessing horrific poisonous bites. The ivory spinner also has the ability to fire webbing at its prey, slowing it down. Widowmakers do not cast webs, but their poison is extraordinarily toxic. Seldom seen outside of the most remote locations in Narglanfath, the fabled crystal eaters are enormous and powerful, possessing magical abilities some wizards believe have been developed through the consumption of Adra and enchanted gemstones. In addition to their ability to raise a field of deadly crystal spikes, the venom of Crystal Eater will temporarily turn a victim's flesh to blood and stone. Subsequent attacks by the Crystal Eater of the petrified foe are quickly fatal. So where the spear spiders have physical attacks based on like their spear-like appendages, the ivory spinners use venom, which is appropriate for spiders. I think, yeah, this is the same thing, the entry for ivory spinner. I'll have to remember this bestiary. This is very useful here.
All right.
Got some beetles here. No, let's switch it up this time. We'll fight them and then we'll go look in the bestiary for what it says about them.
Then.
Oh shit.
No! Hang on, boy!
Oof.
You're not getting through me.
Why isn't the game over?
Starting to miss my neighbors.
Okay, so I'm maimed. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I wonder if I just like die again while I'm maimed, then I, you know, die. A beetle shell, the segmented armor-like shell of a very large beetle. So let's take a look at the bestiary. Wrong one. Beetle. So we just fought some stone beetles and wood beetles. Okay, so the beetle entry is up here, and then stone beetle is more about stats. And it looks like this says beetles are not quite man-sized. If I just go to beetle, okay, so it's the actual entry for beetles. So let's read this. Beetles are not quite man-sized, but they strike a sufficiently intimidating form to frighten off most travelers. The alarmingly large insects never fail to impress and terrify visitors and reinforce the image of the Deerwood as a barely civilized backwater. So it seems like people think of the Deerwood as barely civilized, and partly because these beetles are there, which obviously has nothing to do with civilization. The expansive wilderness in and around Deerwood and Glanfath gives beetles plenty of room to multiply. The most successful species of large beetle have evolved to not only camouflage themselves in the surrounding environment, but also to grow carapaces made of common and hardy materials such as wood, stone, and andra. Glenfathan tribes have been known to fashion crude shields and even weapons out of the limbs and shells of these beetles. Despite all appearances to the contrary, there is an underlying complexity to the common beetle. When they choose a material with which to develop their shell, they do so with a level of intention that borders on artistry. Wood beetles will often burrow intricate holes in their carapaces. By blowing air through these makeshift pipes, they play an eerie music to attract mates. Stone beetles fashion rudimentary tusks and horns that help them to defend themselves and to attack prey. The intricacies of Adra beetles are as of yet not well understood, save that they are notoriously difficult to kill. So it's almost like these beetles all kind of grow similarly until they kind of decide what material they want to develop their shell with, and then they have different characteristics based on what they do. So we just fought a stone and a wood beetle there, and apparently there are Adra beetles as well that we have not fought yet. I'm glad I found that that bestiary. Okay, so I don't have camping supplies. I am in awful shape right now. I'm not sure what to do here. Do I go back to Gilded Vale and rest? Or do I push on? I'm going to save it and push on, see what happens.
Of course.
Wizard's double. Can I just open it?
The work of a moment.
Damn it. So I guess that key was not the key. Is Pietro still there? No, he's not.
No rebirth for him this time!
Alright, I've got to reload a save here. And I'm going to run to Gilded Vale. So that I can actually heal. Because I don't have any camping supplies. I obviously need them. Although, let's see, is there something I can craft? Doesn't look like it. Can't craft camping supplies. Okay. Gotta remember to make sure I have camping supplies on me when I go to new places like this.
I could go for some shut-eye about now.
Yep. I'm gonna get you that, dear. Alright, before we rest, let's see if I can buy some camping supplies.
Hello.
From Pasha. Yes, we can. So let's buy all of them. And I might as well sell things while I'm here. And then you get a room. Another dream. But it doesn't say what the dream is this time. Okay. Okay, so now I have 4 camping supplies, so I am ready to heal up a bit if I need it. Back to Caed. Okay, so Bjartur doesn't have that meme anymore. I feel like if you actually die, like you lose all your health, not your endurance, your health, then you kind of die and you get maimed. And then if you die again after that, then you're permanently dead. I could be wrong about that, though. I could be wrong about that mechanic. Alright, so where do we still need to go? Let's see if that key we got opens this. Yeah, it does. Nice.
No. Keep away from us. Leave us!
So here's Merwald, a large, liver-spotted man, barrel-chested and paunchy, cowers in the far corner of the room, his white hair a tangled, stringy mess. He covers his face and chest with trembling hands, unable to look in your direction.
Maybe we should come back later?
Are you Merwald? He looks up over his hand, the muscles around his eyes twitching, and begins whispering to himself in sharp hisses, as though having an argument. All at once he stops shaking, a sudden calmness falling over him. His head tilts forward slightly, and he looks you dead in the eye like a cornered animal about to pounce. His voice turns suddenly raspy.
Mayor Wald isn't here, and he isn't fooled. He has sent for no callers. Be gone, deceiving spirit.
So I'm not sure here. It says Merwald is speaking, but then it says Merwald doesn't hear, so I wonder if Merwald has been taken over by some other soul. Like, I can't remember what it's called anymore. Oh, awakened. Like Aloth is awakened, like a previous soul awakened in him. I'm no spirit. Do I look like any spirit you have ever seen?
Mayor Wald will speak with you, but you will maintain your distance, or you'll have me to answer to.
So yeah, it seems like there is some kind of awakened soul inside of Merwald's body. The old man turns his body away and has another muttered, sputtering argument facing the wall. When he turns back to you, he's taken a confident stance, and his chest is puffed out like a soldier's. A new strength enters his voice. Merwald. Oh, and that's what he just said.
Come to speak to Merwald. Merwald, whose touch is poison. Merwald, who knows not his effect.
So this voice obviously sounds different than the one that was speaking before. The man's posture folds, and the hands he held strongly at his sides a moment ago resume their original tremors. His voice is feeble and tentative. And I will say, I was told I am a watcher, and that you could tell me more about it. Kana says, and about a tablet of some worth after that, once you two are finished, of course.
A window. Window to the ether, where spirits dwell. Hear and reach into it. Speak and listen through it. A watcher sees souls, reads them, knows their pasts, souls of the living, souls of the dead, an empath, and the souls see them back. Used it to help beings in both realms, did I? What the gods wanted of me, thought I.
Okay, so a watcher sees souls. So Merwald was a watcher, it looks like.
The gods put me in the world for vengeance, and I obliged.
An awakened watcher, interestingly.
It was the gods' wishes that we protect those lands. My way was the only way to remove the foreigners.
How many souls are in this guy here?
Little I knew.
I can say you seem to have lost your mind, but I know that that's kind of not what's happening here. I'm just going to say I was accosted by spirits on my way here. What do they want?
No. No. Forgive me. Forgive me.
He covers his mouth with his hand, his breaths convulsing, his eyes red and exhausted. So now I have to say you seem to have lost your mind.
Lost? No. Found more of it. Too much. Too much to bear. An awakening.
So yeah, here we are. That's an awakening, and too much, as in it seems like there is not just like with Aloth, there is just another soul that's living within Aloth. Merwald seems to have multiple other souls living within him. And Aloth's eyes narrow as he looks at the old man. How could a simple awakening have driven you to this? I'm going to use this lore ability here. You mean you remember your past lives. The other one is what is an awakening. So I already know what awakening is, and because I have lore, my Bjarter also knows what an awakening is.
Something reminds. Memories stirred. Memories before birth. Other bodies. Other times. Memory. Personality. Identity, any might resurface. Or all.
Before he said or all, it says he looks again at the door behind you. And I seem to be having a conversation with several of them right now. Several personalities, that is.
Ghosts of the mind. Merwald has lost control. Merwald's body no more.
The spirits I passed, what are they?
Spirits and not spirits. Always whispering to Merwald, reminding him of his mistakes. No sleep. Watchers see memories before them, form them from the essence of their own souls. Once Merwald awakened, he could not make them leave. Gave them more form, not less.
Okay, so stupidly, I was thinking when I was asking about those spirits, I was asking about the shadows and the phantoms that I had been encountering on the way here, but obviously I was talking about these spirits that seem to be living through a past life right in front of me. And that's what it seems like happened with Merwald here. These spirits just kind of kept whispering to him and almost started to become him over and over again. And because of the connection he has formed with these awakened souls, I was able to see them as well as a watcher. So he's like living through the past lives of all these spirits and these souls that have been through the war that they are all talking about. And we saw both Glanfathan people and Adiran colonists that were talking about all of this conflicts that they had. So I'm going to say these spirits are memories from previous lives.
Troubled memories, angry memories, pulling Meowald back, reminding him his mistakes. Marauder and soldier, soldier and marauder, how could they know?
I like this question here. How do you tell a spirit from a memory?
Fragmented are memories, stuck in time, mindless, cruel, never far.
Why do these past lives still trouble you?
My fault. All my fault. Soldier and marauder, soldier and marauder and Meowald. No forgiveness for what's past. No undoing what's done. No sleep. No sleep for the Watcher.
And the Watcher is not me here, it's Merwald.
War there was all around. War of stone, war of tree.
Broken Stone War, and I forget the name of the second conflict. Oh, thank you, Adir. He's talking about two different wars fought back to back long time ago. The Broken Stone War and the War of Black Trees. There we go. The usual conflicts between locals and settlers getting out of hand, both of them. Some folks are still mad about what one side did to the other.
Death we brought to the settler men. We, the 9 claws. Claws of 9. Worse what we did to the women. For love of the gods. The gods' love. For their love.
So death we brought to the settler men seems to be talking, he's talking from a Glanfathan point of view. I met one of your memory spirits. There was talk of raiding a village. Merwald's voice becomes raspy, and he is somewhere else in place and time, speaking to someone unseen.
Hold her down. Head her. Give this Adir bitch an heir that belongs in heir Gladfath.
Talking about rape here. Seems like the memory of somebody who was watching someone else rape a Adiran settler. Merwald cringes himself again, watching something he can't bear to see, shaking his head over and over. He wails. Durrance says his soul is marked by flame, and those marks will never heal. His trial has broken him, but better that than to live in weakness. So some of these options here, I'm not sure if Merwald is the person who did these awful things or watched somebody else do these awful things and encouraged them, or if one of the awakened souls within him here, because some of these options, like, you are a monster, you deserve this even for a past life, terrible thing happens in war, living with what you've done as its own penance. All of these options just kind of seem like he was the actual person that did these things. And Durrance, it says his soul is marked by flame, and those marks will never heal. His trial has broken him, but better than that than to live in weakness. So is he the person? Is Merwald the person that actually did all this? Or is it just souls that now live within him, awakened souls that did this? I'm going to say terrible things happen in war. Living with what you've done is its own penance.
The boy. The boy. The baby boy. The boy. Conceived in the raid. Conceived by force. Vessel for marauder. Slain in the raid. Marauder and the boy. Marauder and soldier.
So now I'm starting to think that Merwald is the child of this rape. A baby conceived by the raider. What do you mean it was a vessel for him?
For the soul. Marauder's soul. Same soul. One soul. Boy's soul. Marauder's soul. Raised in lies and vengeance. Raised to soldier. Raised for the fire. Born for the fire.
So almost like this baby that was born was a vessel for a soul of one of the attackers, of one of the marauders, of one of the raiders. The first response is, then that was his mother I met in the keep. She told him his father was killed by the raiders. So this is that mother that was up there who was encouraging her son to be a soldier so she could take out her revenge on the Glenfathans. Okay.
You'll get no pity from me. The crimes of the Nine Claws clan in the last war are still unavenged. But the gods are just. They have led me here. In my father's name, every one of you will burn. Lighted.
So this seems like he's living through a memory. It says he looks off to his side as if someone else is standing nearby. Aloth looks at the old man in horror. Bay the Usher's crooked ban. So this seems to be the awakened soul within Aloth that says that. Merwald's shoulders slump. He rocks back and forth, agitated. He mutters to himself, oblivious to your presence.
Soldier and marauder, lies and vengeance, and dead villages. All dead. All dead. What for? What for?
So are these souls living in Merwald? Is like he's the child, but there are also souls of both Glenfathan and a Darren settler that are within him or something like that. This is a lot that is happening with Merwald right now. So I'm not sure what to say here. I'm going to say whatever the reason, I don't think we are meant to know.
How little we know.
Oh my god. Okay, so this whole thing with Merwald is kind of crazy. But eventually it leads back to where I could say that I have seen apparitions like those elsewhere since I became a watcher.
Oh, no. No, no, no. You too. You too.
So being a watcher has, which while I was talking about all that, I kind of forgot that Merwald also was a watcher. It almost seems like because he has seen the souls of so many of the people who have lived through these awful things in Caed Nua, it's kind of driven him crazy. And now it seems like he knows that I'm a watcher, or Bjarter is a watcher. It's going to also do the same things to him. All at once, in spite of his abject misery, his expression changes to one of utmost sympathy. Poor man. Poor man. Says that about us.
They will take you too.
Durrance says, told you a watcher is not to be trusted. What's to be expected when one makes a habit of seeing what's not meant for mortal eyes, if not madness? Looks as though our journey together may be a short one. And I say to Merwald, you're saying I'll end up like you.
So fragile, the Watcher's mind. So real, his memories. Once awakened, how can he sleep?
Basically saying he can't sleep, he can't stop thinking about all the souls and the memories that he's seen. If I'm awakened to a past life, how would that have happened?
You were reminded of it. Strong memories, lingering lives, they dwell near the surface, waiting to be remembered, waiting to take your mind for their own.
So he's basically just saying it's a matter of time before it happens to me too.
Meyerwald sat at his hearth and watched his fire, watched the wood burn. Then came the memory of another fire, and burning wood, and screams.
His face trembles involuntarily. There must be some way to make these memories go away.
No. Always there, always remembered. Can't forget, can't unsee.
I didn't just remember. Someone caused this. They wore masks and spoke of books and keys and a queen. There was a man there. He seemed familiar to me.
Keys of lead, books of burden, queens that were. Known to me are they, the leaden key.
So the leaden key is the name of a particular cult. I don't remember way back, has Aloth mentioned them yet? Because I know he's kind of on a quest to defeat the members of the leaden key, but I don't know that he's mentioned that yet this playthrough, so I don't want to say too much about it until I go back and look. Kana says, the leaden key. It seems we share an enemy, Bjarter. Assassins and watcher wakers both. They certainly keep busy. What can you tell me about this leaden key?
Secrets, secrets, and deceptions, and schemes. Who knows their answers? Not they. Not they. Crossed them before. Hatred of watchers, hatred and fear. Much we see. Threat to secrets.
Who is this queen they pray to?
Woodica, goddess, crown shattered and body burned. Binder of oaths and grudge holder. Bearer of justice. But whose?
So the leaden key worship Woodica. If the leaden key caused my awakening, could they undo it?
Many secrets do they keep. Unawaken? Mayhap. Who else if not they?
So it seemed like the leaden key might be able to help me with the awakened soul in my body. Merwald's bushy white eyebrows edge upward. He begins muttering to himself. Just as you are about ready to repeat your question, he speaks. And that's what he said. Last question. Do you know where I might find the leaden key?
City of Defiance. Never far from the Queen.
So that would be Defiance Bay. I need to go so I can search for this man from the leaden key.
Sleep well. Sleep well.
Hold! I knew your will die. Your actions were seen. You would sooner betray us to the Adir land thieves than take orders from me.
So this must be a Glenfathan soul. This is before you turn to exit. He tilts his head forward, his eyes locked with yours, cold and dangerous, his voice gravelly. You're confusing me with someone from a past life.
Your betrayal is for nothing. Your warnings are lost on these foreigners, and their blood will be Gallowayne's tribute this night. I have asked the elders for the honor of claiming your head as my first trophy, and they have granted it. Beg for the Seeker God to grant you a quick death.
So it seems like Mayor Walder, whoever this is speaking right here, is about to attack me. And he mentions Gallowayne. I think this is already long enough as it is, so I'm not going to say Gallowayne. Plus, I think it would be more appropriate to mention him when we get to a place much later in the playthrough. So, but I do want to say Gallowayne is like the god of the hunt. He is the more I was gonna say environmental god, but he's more of the one of like living with nature, like that kind of thing. And I won't say much more about that until we actually get to the area that I was speaking of. So let's see what happens. Seems like Merwald's about to attack us. And he's got some wind blights with him. Oh, a small flame blight and a wind blight. Okay.
Great.
Leave it to me!
Cannot wait that older set? I don't want to discuss it.
There's a change in the air of the keep. What was thick and suffocating feels to you somehow more breathable, as though yielding to a conquering invader. Merwald's body lies inert. You can feel his soul lingering there, uncertain. There's something unique about this soul and this place, a bond formed in decades of inhabitants and lordship that feels somehow palpable to you, as though even in death, the keep knows its former master, and the former master remembers his keep. Bjartar was granted Speaker to the Restless. In your mind's eye, the bond seems to you as a frayed rope, ghostly and alive, its frayed ends writhing like tide pool anemones. And you find that if you concentrate on it, you have the ability to manipulate its strands. So I can repair the rope, binding Merwald's soul here as an Eternal Warden. I can sever the rope, allowing Merwald to pass from the world. Or I can draw upon the energy of the rope itself, siphoning knowledge from the connection. I feel like for Lorethrough, siphoning knowledge from the connection would be the right choice here. The one that, I don't know, maybe it would give us a little bit more knowledge about what's going on. But keeping with the role-playing aspect of Bjartar, he would definitely sever the rope, allow Merwald to pass from the world, which is what I'm going to do. Strand by strand, the connections fly apart like the overstressed strings of some ethereal instrument. With the tearing of the final string, the rope becomes liquid and dissolves from your awareness. Merwald's soul hovers near you, a vortex of strife and discord, but there is something else there beneath it, something like relief. His soul passes through one of the walls and is gone. So we got a new quest to speak with the steward in Cadnua. Have Grimoire. I'm going to give that to Aloth. Primal wind. This whirling cloud of smoke and air flashes with occasional bursts of energy. Okay, so that must be from the wind blade that we fought. Just going to put the rest of these in stash. Addendum added. Fragments of scattered faith. So it seems like Adair has some knowledge of Merwald. After telling Adair I was headed for Cadnua, blah blah blah, Merwald was not in any condition to answer questions. When he found him, Adair will have to decide how to proceed from here. So maybe if I got the knowledge from him in that last part, it would have moved Adair's quest forward, but we'll also be able to move Adair's quest forward through other means later, so that's not a big deal.
At once.
A worn book lies on the table, with its pages filled with nonsensical scrawls. The sickly sweet smell of rot rises from this half-eaten fruit.
I can do that. That's settled. A simple test.
Okay.
That's settled.
Got some copper there. Alright, so this little bubble here says that Kana wants to talk to us.
Poor Merwald. He couldn't contend with all that he knew of himself. A cruel fate.
I'm going to say, I don't think knowledge was the problem. He said that if I can find out what caused this, it might help me. That is true, Kana says. And there is no such thing in my experience as too much knowledge. Kana smiles. Come, we'll find your answers. And mine, I hope. Okay, so I was planning on keeping this episode a little bit shorter. And that was a really long conversation that we had with Merwald right there. So I think I want to end here, although that was really interesting. And I think I kind of want to think on it to see what the hell was going on with him the whole time, because he had so many different souls that were in him. And he was also a watcher. So it's a little bit of a window into what B. Arthur himself might be feeling and what might become of B. Arthur if everything doesn't go well. In the first place there. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you were watching, as always, please feel free to comment with anything that you'd like me to address, with anything that I did wrong and you were like, why did you do that? Anything like that. Any kind of engagement is always welcome. Comments, likes, subscribes, any kinds of those things. And I will see you guys next time in Session 7. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you then.